So hello, I thought we would do something fun today. And what we are going to do is make some faux stained glass. I just learned how to do this. I am getting better at it, but I'm not exactly great at it yet. But what you are going to need if you would like to do this project yourself, and you can look in the background and see two of the first ones that I did, a flower and a couple of really cute little lovebirds. But all you're going to need for this, and this is why I love this so much, all you are going to need is some white school glue. You can use any kind of white school glue that you would like. You can use Elmer's glue. That's what I got because that was what was at the dollar store when I went. You will also need to make sure that you have one small-ish bottle of Elmer's glue that has the top. That is crucial, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. And then you're just going to need any kind of acrylic paint and a couple of paintbrushes. When you get your paintbrushes, look for ones that have soft bristles. It makes it a lot easier to apply. And that's it. That is all you're going to need. And of course, you are probably also going to need a template. Just draw one or print it off. And you can see right here why you need the glue bottle, because it gives you the control that you need to make the leading. And I am putting that in some heavy-duty air quotes here because you're gluing, not leading. But all you need to do is take your template, take your design, and make sure that it's printed off on white paper and put any piece of glass that you have. I scavenged in my basement and I found some 8x10 picture frames that didn't have pictures in them. And so I took the glass out, I washed it up really good, and that's what I've been using. Now, my goal is, if you remember, I had a lot of reconstruction. I got new windows put in, I got insulation put into the house, and I didn't want to get rid of the windows. I knew I was going to want to do something with them. And I was at a restaurant very recently, and I don't go out to restaurants often, but I was at a restaurant very recently with some company, and I looked up, and in the windows of the restaurant they had just regular paintings on their glass, but the paintings had the outlines to make them look like stained glass. So I came home and I did a little bit of research, and I found out that you could make fake stained glass. So now I'm going to show you really quick. All you need to do is add some glue. I don't have any actual measurements. I just mix a little bit of paint into a decent amount of glue, and as you can see, it does not take much paint to make your glue tinted. I did see online, and I will let you know later if it works even better, that when you apply the color, some people say to apply it with a clear school glue. I didn't have clear school glue, I just had the white glue. But it seems to work really, really well, and the neat thing about the glue with the paint tinting into it is it dries with a slight translucence that gives the illusion of stained glass. It's really a neat technique. Now, I did a little bit of other research and found out that stained glass has actually been around since the time of the Romans. It's a little bit insane. They think that stained glass actually was discovered by the Phoenicians. There's a legend that I found that recounts shipwrecked sailors who set their cooking pots on blocks of natron, which I guess is soda, and they set their cooking pots on these blocks of natron, and then they built a fire underneath it on the beach, and in the morning the fire's heat had melted the sand and soda mixture, which had hardened into glass. I mean, that might not be the real tale. It was told by Pliny back in ancient Rome, but who knows? Could be true. But by the 1st century AD, the Romans were glazing glass into windows, and that is some of the oldest stained glass ever. One of the very oldest known examples of multiple pieces of colored glass used in a cathedral were at St. Paul's Monastery in Jarrow, England, and that monastery was founded in 686 AD, which is absolutely insane. Now, doing actual stained glass is a very, very huge, long process. And from what I understand, it's also pretty darn expensive. You take strips of leading made of either lead or copper usually, and then you tint the glass, and it's a whole procedure. Honestly, with the way it's been turning out, doing it with acrylic paint and glue, I'm all for doing the acrylic paint and glue method. And, you know, I feel like these, especially if you place them back into the frame that you take out of the picture frame. So I'm going to put these back into the frame, and then you can actually hang them in a window. And it just looks so pretty with the sunlight going through it. Now, the reason I said for you to use a fairly soft brush is one of the things I've learned is you don't want visible brush strokes if you can avoid it. And you also really want to put the paint on thick, because the thicker it goes, the better it ends up looking like stained glass. That didn't make a lot of sense. I mean, it did make sense. It just wasn't phrased all that well. You can always tell that I probably should get a writer. Anyway, as you can see, it looks so pretty. And, other important thing, I almost forgot to tell you. Once you get your line work done, your black lines, you're going to want to let that dry for, I would say, at least 6 hours, because otherwise you're going to be pulling the black into your colored parts, and that would be terrible. I can't believe I forgot to tell you that, but that is a very important little bit. But as you can see, it doesn't take that much. And a neat thing is, if you don't want to hand draw your own patterns, because not everybody wants to draw them, you can pretty much take old coloring books. You could just print off patterns. I saw a lot of patterns. I just Googled stained glass patterns, and you ended up with just a bunch of them. But there is my finished product. As you can see, it is still drying, but I think it looks really, really good. And if you are looking for just a really easy and fun project that you can do with your kids over the summer, this might be a good one. Anyway, thank you as always for listening to me and watching, and I will see you later.